are in the semi-dark medical office of Medicaid as this strange individual with a nose ring wearing an armband that kind of represents maybe the Red Cross begins to unload pills onto a countertop. As he probably has about 5 or 6 bottles, he opens up this notebook and begins to flip through the pages, kind of searching for something. And he stops on a page and grabs one of the bottles, opens it up. All right, this pill here can help to solve basic pains, fevers, help to slow heart rates. He goes and he finds another one. And this one, cure stomach problems, bowel issues, diarrhea. He kind of grabs another one. This one's great for migraines, headaches, tension pains, a muscle relaxer, and it seems like he's referencing the name with what they're actually used for. As he's going through this, the Medicaid kind of perks up, kind of grabs one of the bottles and turns it around, and it looks like he's trying to read it, but having some difficulty doing so. Sets it down. What's in the other crates? And Mimi brings the other 2 in and opens them, and it seems to be maybe a total of about 150 bottles of pills in total. A few of the large ones appear to be like vitamin containers, those big like quart-sized vitamins, and he brings those out as well. Again, they all look kind of aged. Some of them might have some water damage, but for the most part, from what you can tell right now, they look to be pretty saved. Like it's, as far as cleanliness, as clean as you can expect something like this. So Omi hands over the folder to the Medicaid and kind of clasps his hand in front of himself. All right, pretty big haul here. We were thinking. We've heard that there are more places like this. Big, beautiful glass buildings with more things in, and maybe even large settlements with many buildings. We can't get there now, though. So we need, our cruiser. It broke. It needs work, and we need money to get it to work. And if we get it to work, we can get more things, and then we will all be happy. So, you will help us to get it to work, and I will give you the pills. Yes? Medicaid stops for a moment and looks at you, Emperor.
That smells good.
He takes one. You said these were the ones for pain. Kind of takes it. Goes over and grabs, it looks like a bone hammer. Starts crushing it on the table. All right, let's try it.
Magical pill called cocaine.
Okay. How quick are these supposed to work? Kind of reference to Omi. Omi. Bottle does not say. I'm not sure. I will say this one, and he goes and he grabs a smaller bottle, and it's got a large amount of blue pills in it. Mimi really likes these ones. They work like that, really quick. Get the job done. So should be good.
What job?
What's that?
I said what job?
Many. The beast knees and the ribble ram and the hockey sticks and all the fun things, and it was we kept ourselves warm that night, and it did. There was an issue after the 4th hour, but we got it resolved. The Medicaid kind of stops for a moment and kind of pops his jaw a little bit, wipes his mouth. Well, I was having that pain in the back of my neck for a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling something. Do you want to do you want to read the situation and get an idea about what's going on here? What I doing with my notebook? There it is. It's on the floor.
Read situation. That's sharp, right?
That is sharp. That's correct.
Read a stitch.
Read a stitch. Awesome.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. So, what kind of questions do you have here?
Okay. Okay. What should I be on the lookout for?
Referencing the pills. It's hit and miss. I think for you, your main concern would be just the vast amount. You're not sure if the Medicaid would have the expertise to administer these properly.
Interesting. A lot of these questions are like,
We can tweak them a bit. If you have an idea for the kind of question you want to ask, we might be able to find what that might fall into. Because it's...
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I guess one of my questions might be something to the extent of, like, what might go wrong with this.
An unfortunate overdose.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's some pills in here with some pretty long names, and if you had a chance to look over the notebook, they seem to be related to, some pretty hardcore diseases and conditions. So chances are, if a pill was given without purpose, it could end up causing harm instead of healing.
Okay.
Again, that kind of falls under the you would probably want someone with expertise to administer these, that they actually know what these or can at least read, because this notebook seems to have a decent description about what you have here and what their uses are.
So it looks like I need to find like an actual doctor, basically. I'm going to say, what is my best way to organize this?
Well, I mean, you have a few options. This is a very large settlement you have here, so using this as your own stockpile is going to allow you, well, if you happen to go to war, chances are some of these things are going to be good aids for that. On the other side, you would know that each pill could be quite valuable, so using them as a sale
like
or
leverage.
Something to sell, you could get quite wealthy from them.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go through with the deal then. So, the Emperor kind of clasps his hands like this. Takes one hand to Omi, the other to the Medicaid. Shakes both their hands and is like, "All right, Omi, what do you want for these?"
Very, very good. I need at least. You see him hesitate. We need the motor and that. All together, I think the mechanic said it's going to be about 4 baht to get the cruiser repaired.
That much.
He looks, yes. Do you feel like you would like to read a person in this situation as you have this conversation?
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
do that.
Kind of like going to like the LA Noir. I'm pressing the doubt key.
Yep. Perfect. So yeah, he looks at you and says, the parts are gonna be hard to come by. They have to go and find them. And as you know, Emperor, the juice is not cheap. You know, it's speaking of juice, gasoline. Where do you get it?
Where do I get my gasoline? I'm gonna say that this is like closer a bit to the peak. There's a settlement which actually has a oil refinery. It's kind of their main export, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call it. Okay, let's not go full Mad Max and call it Gas Town. Let's call it. Let's call it the peak.
Perfect. Draw an X on our map here where this oil refinery is.
Freehand. I'm gonna say it's right here.
Let's see. I know you said right here, but I'm not seeing it yet.
It's towards the left here. Okay.
Awesome. Perfect. So yeah, he seems for the moment, yeah, the parts are going to be expensive and gasoline is pricey, and if we want to get far, we're going to need both.
So, should I like ask my questions or?
So you can ask them throughout the conversation, which is awesome about Read a Person is if you come to a point where you feel like, okay, I want to ask this question now based off what I've received, you can do that, where Read a Situation is more answering all the questions all up front based off what you're witnessing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm kind of, what he's explaining to me to, like, all the costs.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that the Emperor has a decent knowledge of, like, how much things cost considering he's running a trading settlement.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Is he telling the truth?
He's telling the truth for the floor mechanics, sure. Because they have a harder time getting stuff. But you know, chances are, there's probably someone here or someone that comes through here that might have those parts available at a cheaper price, because this is the trade hub. This is where all things come to be sold at a better rate.
So I gotta look at him and it's like, well, I'm sure someone here could do that for even cheaper. Would be better for you and better for me, don't you think?
Well, the cruiser's all the way down the hill. It's there at Portum. It might, I guess. They said it was something. Cylinders. I don't know. I have the list from the mechanic, and he goes into his pocket and doesn't find it, and then he goes, oh, Mimi, the list. And she kind of shuffles through her. As she opens it up, you can see just lists and papers all throughout kind of her jacket. Again, these kind of lab coats kind of things. She pulls one out, and it has probably 3 or 4 items on it. It looks like they need to rebuild the engine, so it's a variety of like parts. So not a ton of work, like not full rebuild, but like, you know, spark plugs, maybe a cylinder cap, you know, things like that. It does seem that the type of vehicle is like an RV or some kind of camper. And so it doesn't have all of that description, just big vehicle, these parts, and vague descriptions that mostly mechanics would understand, like must put round peg in square hole kind of thing. But yeah, it's not a ton of stuff. But depending on your mechanic experience, you might not recognize all the pieces on there.
Mm-hmm. So, he'll even say, oh, so your cruiser is in Portum. Well, lucky for you, I actually have a group of messengers going down there. And, gathering the supplies takes so I'm sure they haven't left yet. I'm sure we could organize something to take your cruiser back up here.
You have someone here that can fix it. It's been a while. If we can get it up the hill, that's fine. We actually, you know what, Mimi, you know what? If we can go out the east gate, we might be able to get there even faster. That would be wonderful. You know what? For that, I think I'd be okay with dropping it down to 3 barter.
Okay. Well, how's this? Whenever you stay here, you guys can be my personal guests. I need to open the book actually out of character. I need to see like all the gifts I can give as a card holder because that's useful information to know. Apocalypse World. This book doesn't have bookmarks. Scroll the D, scroll the D, scroll. So, Gunmugger, card holder. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So, for 3 barter, I'll have some guys help you out, taking it back up. I will give both of you free food for about a month whenever you guys stay up here. And let's see. And well, the roads are dangerous, right?
Yes, the snows are beginning to make the paths are getting a bit thick. Made getting up here a bit difficult. I haven't seen them cleared for some time.
Come with me. And with that, the Emperor kind of walks out and he starts heading towards the armory.
Okay. Yeah, as you leave, the Medicae, pulls the rest of the things and kind of puts the bottles back into the back into their carrier containers and closes them. And you hear him kind of like shove them underneath his bed, kind of out of sight, hide them. Yeah, so you begin to head off to the armory. Go ahead and draw on where the armory is in there, and let's follow back up with Lark as you're in your tower, trying to have a bit of an insightful conversation with your spirit person. Are you trying to open your mind to the world's
Absolutely.
maelstrom?
That is
Wonderful.
absolutely where I was going with that.
That is awesome. So, yeah, I guess Lark, you say a prayer, and that's how you begin to.
Yeah, and Lark, I imagine he kind of gets kind of as out of the way as he can, like at the bottom of this tower. He kind of like gets down, kind of like on his knees, hands on his knees, head down, eyes closed. Because this is a little bit like the state where he had like his first experience in, where he was just kind of like crawling and just kind of rock bottom, like wondering if it's even worth going on. When he had this experience, so this is kind of the position he likes to adopt whenever he tries to open his brain.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Right,
So yeah, let's go ahead and roll weird and see what it's looking like. Awesome. Yes. So on a hit, I will tell you something new and interesting about your current situation and might ask you a question or two. Answer them. On a 10 plus, I will give you a good detail. So right now, you want to find this person. That's your current wish.
Yes.
Okay.
That is currently Lark's biggest priority.
And did you have a name you were calling this entity?
I think Lark pretty much just refers to it as like the entity because it's kind of a little bit of like, who am I to give it a
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't given me a name, and I certainly don't feel me as a humble follower of this entity is worthy of bestowing a name upon it.
So you keep your eyes closed and you start to feel the cold breeze that's still blowing underneath the door begin to fade away as you enter into this world where it's almost glistening as if water, but the water is quite dark. And you see a form begin to appear from the middle, and as it stands, it doesn't have clear defining features, but you see it kind of grow, and the water feels like it's dropping away. You look up towards it, and it speaks to you in a voice that again brings you back to the first time. Welcome once more, child. You're on your knees. I have told you to rise. Shall you rise?
Lark that just nods, slowly rises.
Good, good. Leaders should never kneel, for their followers will see them as only a thing to stand upon to reach the heights they want to reach. It is them that should allow the leaders to get to where they want to go. You come seeking something, seeking answers. What is it I can do for you, child?
I unfortunately have led the flock into a dangerous situation, and though I have many questions, many that need to be answered before I can make an informed decision that will lead us all safely from this, but there is whispers of what many call a ghost. I've heard the winter's wraith, and so many strange things following it. You mighty entity, is this one of your chosen?
The figure kind of begins to come down to your level and seems to reach and grasp you by the shoulder. All could be chosen, but this one you wish to reach. They have seen something. They have seen the path themselves, but whether they'll follow or not, it's hard to say. For what they might need to see is that the followers of those that lead are led upon the right path. And child, your followers are not being led upon their own path. They are choosing the path they wish to choose. You wish to find this thing, this winter's wraith? Just wait. They will find you.
Lark kind of nods. Again, I am humbled by your infinite wisdom. I shall find this wraith. I shall lead her down the right path and send the rest of my flock down with her. Thank you.
As you say thank you, you feel this entity begin to grow and surround you, and you feel the common choking as it begins to drown you with its dark mass. This weird, cold yet kind of almost feeling solid water going through your mouth, through your nose, through your eyes, and you work to restrain, just understanding a few more moments to get out of here, but it takes all you can to not choke. And as you come to, kneeling on the floor, you cough a few times, clear your throat. Dusk,
Yeah.
you begin to have a dream. And it's more of a memory than a dream. You see yourself walking through the courtyard and coming to stop by the church. You can look through the little breaks in the concrete and the stone to see inside, and you see the orange glow, and you see a figure standing there. Kind of tall, strong. He's holding something in his hand. It's dark, it's black, it's stone. It seems to be speaking to him. And as you get closer, you get more intrigued. You press right up against the edge. And as he's holding the skull, it turns in his hands and it faces you. And it simply says, "Why watch from afar when you can come within?"
The skull, he has a skull in his hands, and the skull turns towards Dusk.
Yeah, indeed. So as he's holding it in his hands, it turns to face you through these slants, face you. And without moving its jawline, you just hear this voice. "Why watch from afar when you can appear within?"
Do I feel compelled to enter?
You tell me. It's you in your dream. So you're probably in a state that you're familiar with. You probably have some strange dreams where maybe it was an escape you used during the times of your testing, or maybe this is again what you do to kind of pass the time, or just to plan the next day's events. But in a way, you have a moment to experience what the weird, the strange is trying to give you. And if you want to investigate more, sure, we can go we'll dive Inception into this stuff, and you can totally open your mind within a dream. I'm cool with that.
Okay, I'll bite.
Okay. So as you look through this, it's confusing. You know that you've seen Lark in the church talking to a skull, but it didn't seem alive before. It just seemed like an object that he carried. But now this thing, it's this entity seems to be speaking to you. So as you open your mind to see what it might be trying to say, go ahead and roll that weird. Okay. So on a 7 to 9, I give you an impression. If you already know all there is to know, the MC will just tell you, and I must be prepared for the worst. So as you look towards the skull, what is your largest question or concern?
Is it one of the men that are still looking for her?
You hesitate for a moment, and your vision flashes to another dark room. This time there's a small electric kind of buzz as there's a fluorescent light over in the back. And you see very vaguely someone standing over you in dark blue kind of clothing, and it seems that they're talking, but it's quite muffled and you can't quite see their face. And you begin to panic for a moment when your vision changes. not a white light anymore. It's starting to darken, and you see the face begin to turn black, and then you see these hands reach up and begin kind of grabbing and trying to tear away from this black goo that seems to be going over their face, and you hear them choking and crying and just tearing and tearing and tearing, and then choking and falling hardly down. The room then relights up, and you can see that the restraints on your wrist are no longer there. Your vision is clear, and the person that had tormented you lies dead on the floor with a bit of black saliva pouring from their mouth through the mask.
That's a relief. She feels relieved seeing that.
So, yeah, with that, you kind of lose, taking that one breath, your vision begins to kind of fade and get darker and darker and darker as you kind of fall into a REM sleep and begin to sleep peacefully for until whatever else happens. So yeah, Lark, as you come to in the tower, what's your next move? Having had the entity speak to you, kind of provide you guidance, what's your thought?
So Lark kind of takes a bit of a breath. He can't, despite the seriousness of the situation, he's having a hard time like not like smiling
Mm-hmm.
a little bit, just because it's like, just talk to the entity. That makes me pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like just that, like just something happened to him that makes him just feel like the most important person in the world right now, despite the fact that the situation isn't terribly great. But seeing that the entity predicts that what he wants will come to him, he's not going to do like a super thorough sweep, but he should at least kind of walk around this area a little bit so he can at least say, I looked, I didn't see anything. So he's going to start walking like in front of all these shacks and everything, just kind of like looking at them a little bit, not too closely, not terribly close. He's just going to kind of like make a round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as you go through again, it's starting to get a bit more in the morning. So more people are beginning to go about their business. I think a few of these buildings again have been retrofitted to be, you have a baker's, probably some basic clothing makers, and then a variety of other more permanent kind of shops that are not just the traders that set up in there. Yeah, are you looking to actually read the situation and kind of investigate around here, or is it more just making an appearance that, okay, people can see that I've been here?
He's here. He might as well try to actually see what he can find.
Okay. Yeah, so
Alright,
as you
so-
kind of look around, you're trying to still get an idea, like, okay, this is where the rumors are. Where should I even begin to look? So yeah, let's roll plus sharp to read the situation.
8, a lot
Okay.
of matching numbers today.
So yeah, you have one question you can ask. So I would say, yeah, you have a few options there, depending on what you feel is your best access to what you're looking for.
Let's see. I guess the closest question to what Lark kind of wants right now is, what should I be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I mean, Right now, you're looking for her. So, you should be looking for her footprints.
That's right. That would have been some of the rumors. That would have been some of the weird stuff. So as Lark is kind of making these rounds, he frequently kind of glances at the snow. It's like, no, those are tread. No, those are obviously boots. Like, there's probably a lot of footprints
Mhm.
around here, but he's specifically looking for the distinctive barefoot toes, all that.
Yeah, it takes you a little while as you are kind of walking the main part, but then you decide, okay, let's just cut back behind and just see if there might be anything back behind these houses. And at first, there's almost nothing, but then you see disturbed snow. There's definitely someone that's passed through here. And off, kind of within an alley, you can see these footprints. You can see all 5 toes. They seem to be not very deep. And they walk with not a large gait, almost as if they might glide across the snow. But you see these footprints, and they all seem to lead towards kind of the entrance to the interior storage area. So you see them kind of head towards one of the doors that you know will lead into the storage.
So Lark kind of like starts following these prints. He's a little bit excited. He's like, I found something. And as he's approaching, he's about to go into the back area, and he stops. And he just thinks, no, I'm not supposed to find them. They're supposed to find me. He starts dwelling on the words of the entity. And he takes like a little bit of like a breath. He's like, I think I know what I need to do. He takes the small black skull out of his jacket, kind of like holds it to his mouth a little bit. And he carefully leaves it on the ground by the door to the interior area, kind of off to the side, so it's not going to be crazy noticeable, but it's not because he doesn't want just anyone to go take it,
Mm-hmm.
but somewhere where it's not exactly hidden. So he kind of just places it there, the face turned to the interior of the shed. Kind of like this is an item that's quite precious to him, so he's very hesitant to leave it behind, but he's like, I have to trust the words of the entity. He like turns and starts making his way back towards the church, kind of like basically whispering that to himself. I have to trust the words. I have to trust the words. He heads back to the church.
Yeah, as you set it down, you know, the heat from your breath allows it to kind of melt a bit of the snow that's around it. And you take a hesitation, you know, every once in a while to just, okay, everything's going to be fine. And you begin to make your way back through the houses, kind of through the market. About now, Emperor, you're reaching the armory. You have a definitely this is a fairly locked facility, so Drag will go over and start to kind of move the levers and unlock the locks and get everything done. You hear a few voices back behind the door. And as you open it, you can see that one of your other gang members, we're going to call him Ace, is in the process of actually sharpening, it looks to be a spear or something on like a wooden stick. As he hears a door open, he kind of looks and like stops a bit panicked, like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't be here. And just kind of stares at you, unmoving, with his the rock in one hand, the spear in the other.
Ice, you're not on guard duty right now?
He just hesitates. No, just sharpening the spear. Was thinking about going out on a hunt.
I see. Going out on a hunt with, you know what's just happening? So I'm like very much looking at like his demeanor.
Mm-hmm. Reading a person.
Yes, yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah.
I was told to be sharp. I am being sharp. Um, there it is. Haha. And that's actually fulfilling. There you go. I just completed one of the slots. Partial success. That
Okay.
means-
So you still have one question. So, yeah, you can either continue the conversation, or if you want to ask it based off of what has been said so far, it's up to you.
What does your character intend to do?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be violent. It's not a hunt. He has the urge to kill. You remember Ace and Windjammer were pretty close.
Ah,
So there's more than beast blood on his mind.
I turn to Omi. Omi, do you mind giving us a minute?
Yeah, of course. I'll wait. I'll wait right over there. Sure. Kind of begins.
Thank you. Omi. And the Emperor, he drops to like a less like commanding presence and allows himself to kind of like be a bit less regal. He slowly approaches Ace and puts a hand on his left shoulder or his right shoulder. Like, Ace, we're gonna get him, okay? But we're gonna get the bastard that did this together.
Yeah, he.
Understand me?
You feel his breaths are very kind of deep. Like he's thinking about each breath as he takes it. There's so much. I should have been there. They fucking told us to leave. Why was I not there? Why was no one fucking there?
I'll make sure that something like this never happens again. That is what must be done to preserve Windjammer's memory. As for what can be done now, other than that, the Emperor kind of pauses a second, kind of thinking back to Windjammer. It's no use making rash decisions. If we're going to make them pay, I don't want to lose anybody else.
You wouldn't. There's so many fucking strangers that come in these walls all the fucking time. No one would even notice one was missing. No one.
I have a plan for that, actually. I have a plan. Ace, go and take the rest of the night off. Okay? Here. The Emperor kind of like rummages out for a bit and like takes out effectively what passes for a bit of barter. He hands it to Ace. Go see the girls. Okay? The edge of the town. You know what I'm talking about.
So he stops and kind of not disrespectfully pushes the money back towards you. It's not what Windjammer would want. I'll be there. You put me at the front of that line, though. You will let me lead this pack when we go and kill those fuckers that took them from me.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
He bows, sets the spear up against the wall, sets the whetstone down on a table. Breathes one more time, kind of wipes his brow a bit, walks away. You almost see like he might wipe his face down and begins to make his way down the hall. Omi kind of looks down. Is everything done? Are we ready to go?
Yes.
The day's getting long, and the night's coming soon. So
Come in.
he makes his way to the armory. Describe what the armory looks like a bit.
So the armory is, it's a large room. It's actually like a bit further inside of the castle, um, where it's not up against any of the walls. It's very much like its own distinct building. And inside, it's basically just like the walls are just filled with weaponry and armor of any kind. It's mostly medieval. And yeah, it's basically just filled to the brim with swords, spears, shields, leather armor. There's an old, rusty-looking plate suit against the wall, but it's more so decorative than anything else. And if perchance a blacksmith came along eventually, he can help with that. But yeah, it's basically just like this massive array of medieval weapons stacked like to the brim against itself.
So as Omi walks in, he looks back and just snaps his finger and kind of points to his wife that was beginning to kind of follow, and she just stops, kind of just stands waiting, looks around. Yes, I could expect nothing less for you, Emperor. Why are we here though?
I said the roads are dangerous. Here, the Emperor kind of moves closer inside, and he's like, "Have you ever held a sword, Omi?"
He moves his leather jacket back a bit, and you see that he has kind of a hunting blade on his hip, and he kind of pulls it. It looks pretty clean. You also notice that he has a series of what could be scalpels that are kind of tucked into his belt as well. Yeah. I have. It's not a sword, but it can cut. Yeah, that does the job.
The Emperor takes one of the swords up against the wall, kind of like weights it up against his own hand, and brings it to Omi. How's the balance on this? Kind of like holds it out like this.
Mm-hmm.
Omi.
He takes it and doesn't quite grasp it the right way, so it kind of slides, and he goes to grab it, but ends up not grabbing the handle, but kind of grabbing the blade itself, and you hear like that kind of slicing sound. He's like, and he kind of wipes his hand, and as he does, there's a bit of blood. I guess fine. I'm sorry, Emperor. I'm a bit confused. Again, what are we in here for?
You require some sort of payment. I gave you access to food, which either you could eat yourself or you can sell. I have some people that are going to go get your vehicle. That is another thing. This sword, you can use it for self-defense on the roads, which is invaluable. In case you don't need it, you can also sell it. That should make up the rest of our deal.
That's a great. That's a great honor. Absolutely. Yes. Your Grace. It has been a wonderful day. I am so happy we were able to get here and get this deal, and I hope that this is just the beginning of many future deals. And this sword will blaze your way and your glory through whatever we go to find. Absolutely.
Perfect. The Emperor kind of smiles a bit. I'm also looking forward to this partnership and whatever else you might bring me.
Of course, we plan to head east. I know there's going to be many other big glass buildings with many supplies. But again, the paths though, the deep snow's coming. The deep. Are you going to clear the southern path?
I said I have some men that are going in that direction, did I not?
Oh, of course. Of course. You had said they were messengers. I didn't know if they were up to the task to clear it as well, but of course, they're your men. Why, of course they can. They can do all that.
Of course. Now, you're welcome to stay here for the night. There'll be accommodations. If not, you can go back to your settlements. Or join my men and to go get your cruiser.
You know, that might be best. Maybe we travel with your men, get the cruiser, and then come with the cruiser back up here to get it fixed.
Perfect. They should be at the emperor kind of looks at his wrist at like this old watch that he has. It's kind of not very precise, but it gives him more or less a ish time that he can use. It's like missing the minutes hand, basically. And he's like, they should be at the gate by now. The Emperor kind of like hands him like effectively his seal. He's like, tell them of the cruiser.
So he kind of takes your seal, kind of turns. He takes the sword and like kind of tucks it up underneath his arm, carrying it kind of awkwardly. Kind of goes out to Mimi. Very good. Say goodbye to the Emperor. We must go now. They are waiting for us at the gate. She turns and she bows very, very deeply. Thank you, Your Grace. And just turns and begins to shuffle down the hall. They leave, and you have a moment here in your armory. You kind of take a moment to look. The thought of war hanging heavy on your mind. Looking at each piece of armor, each piece of weapon, some of them sharper than others, and taking a moment to reflect.
With that reflection, actually, the Emperor is going to do something he doesn't generally do.
Mm-hmm.
This quiet moment of pondering, he feels himself at a precipice. He closes the armory doors, and he kneels inside of his armory, and the Emperor has always thought of himself as a very rational man. A man who always looks for a good explanation for everything. He tries to look at the cold hard facts, but problem is he's fighting an enemy he doesn't understand. He doesn't like going into the unknown. And to do that, he needs to embrace the unknown.
Sounds like we have another prayer session here in the armory, opening up our minds to the maelstrom. So, has the Emperor ever done this before?
So, he's done this exactly once before.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back before he was calling himself the Emperor, Emperor Invictus. This was when he was leading the refugees out of that. And that's actually how he came to find out about the Raiders. So the way when he opens his mind to the psychic maelstrom, it opens up on a very different scene generally to everybody else. When he basically goes and his mind, it goes somewhere else. And that somewhere else is at a vision of an ancient battlefield. There are corpses everywhere. Lots of very long rectangular shields in red. The Emperor, he's read a couple history books in his time. He's come across a couple, and this comes as if, from his knowledge, it might be the Battle of Cannae, where Hannibal killed all those Romans. And at the center of this battlefield, there are two chairs facing against each other. In the middle of those two chairs, there's a table with a game of chess on that table. And whenever he goes there, he always sits on one side. And after a while, someone or something appears on the other side.
Perfect. Well, let's open our mind here. Give me that weird roll as you try
Yeah.
to get more information on this foreign enemy.
Yeah, and that is something that the Emperor is not good at. He has a -2 to weird, so
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Aha.
god.
this is gonna go so
Here
well.
we go.
This
Okay.
time-
Ooh.
Oh wow. Partial success.
So, you take a moment to focus your breathing, close your eyes, and just start picturing the elements of that battlefield. Some of them appear kind of vague at first. You don't remember what the main color of the grass was or how deeply dark the blood was. You don't remember the particular shade of the shields, but it starts to form around where you can see, corpses on top of each other, cut to pieces, tower shields draped over. The horizon is this dark orange, almost reddish, fire-like tint, as if the sun was just covering the entire landscape, causing these long shadows. Each tower shield their shadow seems to stretch for miles, all leading back to where you're standing only a few feet away. The pieces on the chest, while still so small, their shadows lead almost standing as giants if you were to look at this scene from a different perspective. You begin to make your way to the chair. You sit down and you move your first piece. And you wait for a moment. And after a while, you hear a caw, a bird cry off in the air. You look up and it starts to fly. And it's not dark. You actually have to take a moment to focus as, again, this bright light surrounds you. It's white, almost like a dove. It flies down and lands on the chair. And in its mouth, it holds a flower, a white flower. But it's not this flower in its mouth that catches your attention. It's the third eye on its head. It sits at the edge of the chair and just looks at you.
The Emperor looks at the game of chess, looks back at the bird, and especially his third eye. He leans forward and kind of plucks the flower, the white flower, out of the bird's mouth. He looks intently at that third eye, and he kind of takes a knife out of thin air almost.
Mm-hmm.
And he cuts the open side of his palm, and he lets the blood drip over the flower. And he puts it in the middle of the chessboard.
The flower begins to absorb the blood, and it begins to grow. The vines begin to sprout from the edge and begin to twist around the pawns, falling down to the battlefield down below. You watch as these vines go and touch the corpse, and as it does, they seem to spring out and touch more. And almost like a series of fireworks going across the land, you see this green begin to spread far and wide around you. And within a moment, it's no longer corpses. It's now this twisted green, viney landscape that surrounds you.
Interesting. So the Emperor kind of looks around at this landscape, this green, twisted form, and he looks back at the bird. He takes he takes another of his pieces, knowing that, well, under the rules of chess, that is invalid, and he moves it.
Without the bird moving, you see the third eye look down to the chessboard. You see the queen picked up, moved up and over the pawns. And as it's placed down in front of the piece you've moved, you can see the dark brown tint of your pieces begin to fade to this white tint of all of the pieces on the other side of the board. It starts with the knight that it's now placed in front of. Its color begins to change to white. And as that fades to the pawns beyond it, it then fades to the bishops, the towers, the other knights, kings, and queens.
The Emperor looks back up to the bird, and he starts tapping his fingers over the table, one after the other, in a sort of rhythmic beat. Tap, 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 tap. Looks over to the bird, and he says, "What am I going to be facing in the days to come?" And he moves another of his pieces, which are kind of like translucent at this point, I guess.
Yeah, they're starting to fade so that all pieces kind of look the same color. Yeah, what
Actually,
are you
he moves
trying?
one of the other pieces.
What one of from the other side of the board?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to face? Are you asking this question with anger or with concern?
Concern.
As you try to look at the bird for answers, you see a part of the horizon, this dark reddish orange horizon, begin to flicker, almost as if there was a glitch on a screen. Kind of flashes and flashes, and then it stops. And this bit of darkness begins to form. And it starts to twist and turn, and you see it begin to have an effect on the horizon around it. And as you try to focus on the bird, you can't be helped but drawn to this dark zone. And the bird begins to fade from your vision as this dark zone begins to roll, as if it was a series of a large tractor coming to till a field. It begins to move towards you, and these massive steel and concrete kind of large chunks begin to turn and dig up the ground, and the green begins to tear up, and it begins to move faster and faster and faster towards you. You look around, the orange is beginning to fade, everything's turning to darkness as this dark zone comes and encapsulates you, making all of your vision dark.
Interesting. And with that, I think the Emperor's going to wake up.
As you wake up, you see it's all quiet around you. There's no one here. Kind of have a moment of peace. Yeah.
The Emperor looks around at his vast armory and thinks to himself, looks like history's repeating itself. Rome and Carthage again. I just have to hope that I'm Rome. And he walks out.
Awesome. So with that, Lark, where were you headed?
Lark, after leaving the skull, was probably he wants to stop by the church to make sure all the food got there fine before trying to meet with the Emperor.
So as you begin to make your way to the church, you can see that Rourke is standing there with another one of your followers that maybe we haven't named yet. It's another young woman, but she has kind of a curly brown hair that she tries to put into ponytails, but it's just too kind of frayed. It doesn't really stick too much. But you kind of recognize her. The reason she stands out is she's actually missing her right hand. And she actually, it's a stump, but she has a variety of, they almost look like scavenged hairbands of different colors, red and purple and all that she kind of has up her arm, and you just see that as she kind of moves around from the bottom of her jacket. But she's standing there and she's kind of leaning on the door, kind of talking to Rourke. What's her name?
Let's see. I think her name is.
Can I suggest one?
Sure.
Larissa.
Larissa?
Yeah, just something that came to mind.
That absolutely works. All right. So, yep, Larissa. Let's think. I imagine she's kind of like probably one of the, in terms of seniority, would be one of the mid-tier members.
Mm-hmm. So as you begin to get closer, you hear that they're having a conversation about kind of security, and she's saying, I don't know what to tell you, Rourke. We've been doing inventory every day, and I haven't really noticed anything until you mentioned it today. So, I can try to talk to Abraham and Ram, but with all the ongoings around here, it might be better if we try to go and find a lock, for the door. And you hear Rourke kind of in the back. A lock might be fine, but it just makes me worried if we can't figure out where that extra food's going. Just how are we going to be able to be accountable? Maybe head to the market, see what you can find, and we'll go from there. And she just said,
Lark
okay.
Lark kind of like, he doesn't announce himself, but he makes his steps like a little bit heavier than he normally would.
As you get close, she kind of turns to head to the market, and she sees you. Lark, I was just about to head to market. Is there anything you might need while I'm there?
Lark kind of thinks for a moment. No, Larissa, thank you for asking. You may go. I simply wanted to make sure our recent purchase made it to its destination safely.
Of course, Rourke's just finishing getting it set up in there now. I'm gonna go and see if we can find a lock. I know we could get one of the boys to watch over, but with everything, I don't know. I've been
That's an
seeing some
excellent
fights
idea.
break out, and you know how Abraham and Ram are. I don't know if they should be stuck in one place for too long.
Yes. Once you find that lock, be sure to give me the key.
Oh, of course, of course. It's your lock. You will have the key. We'll take it with us if we ever need to go anywhere.
Excellent.
Have they said anything about the funeral? Are we still going to be able to do that today? I've had a few other of the followers asking.
Just add a character quick. I assume she's referring to the bodies that we probably haven't burned yet.
Oh yeah.
What's that smell? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it smells like pork.
All right. Lark says, I have to meet with the Emperor shortly. I'll see if he'll give us permission to use must have incinerator or something. That way we won't need to worry about going outside the wall.
That's if you need anything, you know where we are. I think Rourke and I will probably stick around here just to make sure everything's going okay. I've noticed there's quite a few people coming in today, so just be careful. You know how these places can be. A lot of moving parts, lot of strange people, a lot of strange things.
Yes. Well, off with you now to find that lock.
Yes. Indeed. Thank you. Bless you, Lark. Bless you. Begins to make her way. Rourke's kind of just finishing stacking some things, kind of turns to see you in the doorway. All right, we should be set for another week or so. I still, it had to be, I don't know, a full bushel of potatoes just gone. I don't know.
Intriguing. And you said everything is logged, correct?
Of course, he brings over. It's kind of a typical notebook, but it has. It's like within a plastic bag that he's found, so try to keep it waterproof. He pulls it out, kind of the plastic wrinkling, and yeah, it's marked specifically with the day. For he has the service. Potato kind of marked down there, and then what was served for dinner, specifically rationed out every single day. And then he has kind of a tally on the front folder in which it keeps stock of all of their current reserves. So as he'll go through, it seems to be about a week, he'll go through and kind of lower those tallies to match. And he kind of points out that there is about probably 8 to 10 potatoes that seem to just be gone.
Interesting. Are you the only one that keeps track of the food storage?
No. When I'm not able to, Larissa's been able to step in a few times, but I try to double check if she's in here just to do the math. But again, we haven't really been watching it, and I don't know. I should be checking it daily. I promise to you I will be looking over it daily from now on. I will not wait. We will be checking every day.
That's good. With this recent string of thefts, that's a wise choice. Lark kind of takes like another sigh. He's like, oh, like as if I don't have enough things to deal with right now. Now we got to add petty theft to the list.
Right.
So, Lark kind of, he looks over the log a little bit himself, like, not too closely. He actually does, trust Rourke. So, Lark hands him back the logbook, starts walking towards the door. He stops, turns to Rourke. Do you happen to have an idea of, kind of like leans in, how well armed the group is?
So it seems, I mean, you can definitely fill in some information here, but from what it seems like, yeah, I swear my cat's in here doing something, but I can't tell where. Either that or Dusk is in my room. Dusk, can you please leave my room?
Do you have food in there?
I keep just hearing like popping behind me. So yeah, Dusk, don't go back to sleep. Have your dreams. So from what we've been able to tell, it seems like maybe you guys have scavenged some like hiking gear along the way. Maybe you found some like abandoned campsites and all that. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like really not much more elaborate than maybe some wood axes, some
maybe
knives and everything.
some knives. Yeah, it doesn't really say specifically. You do have violence in there.
Which is why I kind of imagine we would have anything. I know there isn't really an option for your cult is heavily armed, so
it could be. I mean, I guess maybe describe the last violent rampage they went on. Like what? Because
the last kind of violent thing that happened was with Abraham, and that was I believe I definitely said that he stabbed somebody. Okay. I'm not even sure if it was fatal. We didn't stick around that long to see what happened. But.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting how they word that. So violence is when you're in surplus. So when things are going well, your cult is in violence. They celebrate by going on violent rampages. So that doesn't necessarily have to be death. Like maybe that is just they all get together and fight each other, or maybe there's a mob pit and someone's playing a banjo or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess describe that. What is a celebration in which violence would be involved?
Well, all right. This is getting to the really dark part of the cult.
Mhm.
We we have definitely killed someone as a celebration before.
Mhm.
Like we probably like someone who was like absolutely toxic for the community that they were in. Maybe like I don't know, like maybe a drunkard or something that
Mhm.
was just like absolutely dragging things down, like and everything. And we managed to like kind of like isolate him and like take him out because that's like a huge part of this whole ideology. Be willing to sacrifice your morals for the good of everyone. And I mean that's probably extremely rare,
Mhm.
especially because I mean we're essentially nomadic and don't really carry too much on us, so it's probably very rare where a situation where that happens. And maybe it's only happened once, maybe it's happened with other cult members that aren't currently with us anymore, because I probably like to keep the death toll a little bit lower than it actually is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably happened
So
before.
yeah, I would say probably along your ways, you've been able to get scavenged, melee weapons. So that you might have a machete here and there, definitely, an axe. Beyond that, I'm not sure if you have anything larger. It would
I
definitely
think
be
even a
possible to
machete would.
purchase things, or yeah.
Yeah, I think a machete would even be a tad generous because of what I call free harm weapon.
I mean, you were in Ashtown though, and Ashtown is full of lumber-based things. So
Ooh,
axes,
yeah.
absolutely. It is
Yep.
completely possible that someone has a chainsaw.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Oh, I think Lark would have like not let that happen.
Okay,
Because
but
he's just like,
Chainsaw,
no.
you can't.
chainsaw requires fuel.
Yeah,
It's kind of expensive to maintain.
It's
that's true.
expected to be, it's loud.
Yeah,
I just imagine it like a kid that like took like 3 chocolate bars instead of one when he wasn't supposed to. No. Oh my god. But yeah, like the scavenge like camping equipment,
Mhm.
yeah, that would all like everyone might like Lark doesn't even carry anything because the the Hocus doesn't get equipment. But
Yeah, you would probably have a variety of the common weapons. So you have like crowbars, knives,
mhm.
that kind of stuff where it's just scavenged from as you're going along. And if you get lucky, you hit that one campsite that maybe there was an RV or something in it. Here's Thomas to say hello.
Choo choo.
We don't have a roll for that yet, so we'll just do our best to ignore it. So yeah, as you
Too old to open your brain.
it's probably also that you have a lot of people that are just brawlers. So just
Yeah.
go into violent rages and just kick and stomp and punch and throw and squeeze and just get violent.
marauders.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And Lark certainly isn't oblivious to that, but he's hoping I can channel it for good purposes.
Why do you think I'm conscripting
Somehow.
your men?
Yeah, I mean there are certainly a few brawler types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think you're conscripting your cult in this war?
So yeah, as you're kind of talking with Rourke, I actually want to fade back into to Dusk. You kind of feel a stirring, almost as if you're hearing a whisper make its way in through the door and down the hallway, and it kind of stirs you from your sleep. And as you look at the window, the sunlight is still there. It's definitely not dusk yet. It's still a bit too early to be dusk. Dusk. But yeah, you definitely feel like there's a whispering.
She rises and sits up trying to listen for whatever is whispering.
Yeah, it doesn't for the moment it doesn't really feel like it's words, but if you want to read the situation, we can definitely take a deeper look.
So sharp.
That's correct. Yep, so sharp. Unless you have another move that says something different.
Not to my memory.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, as you hear these whisperings right now, you're not picking up words. It's just the sound of.
Hmm.
And you know, you kind of look underneath the door, and it feels like it's coming from down the hallway, towards one of the entrances towards this kind of area. But yeah, what would you like to? What's your question?
Um, can I like identify if the gender of the whispering?
Mm. Yeah, it's genderless. It is again the sounds of words along the wind, but not you can't really hear male or female specifics that would stand out. It's just that kind of undertone, that hushed whisper sound, and you can't really tell if it's this or that. You know, again, not picking up words.
So, but I can make out the distance of the whispering.
So what? Let's see. I mean, you can tell that it seems to be down the hall and coming from the entrance of the doorway that leads into this area. So you have
Okay,
the hallway that kind of leads towards both of the towers that kind of go outside, and there's doors that go out into the courtyard to the back of the houses. It seems to be coming from that doorway that leads into the back of the houses, kind of outside.
Okay, so not right outside her door.
No, no.
Hmm. Well, it's still daylight, and she's like hesitant to go out just yet. She'll probably wait it out a bit more until it's a bit darker, till
So
it's dusk.
you did read the situation, so if you want to spend your question on like what should I be on the lookout for, something like that,
Ah, okay.
you can do that.
She'll probably keep on the lookout to see if the whispering comes closer.
So yeah, I mean with the lookout, it doesn't seem like the whisper itself is going to be closer. It almost feels like it's trying to draw you out there, but you do hear on the other side the sounds of kind of people maybe gathering. And maybe if you stayed up a few days just to get an idea of what this area is like, you do know that there are traders that come back here to drop off their supplies every few hours, and it does sound like a group of them is about to gather on the far side to make their entrance, like they're stacking things up and about to start bringing them in. But for the moment, it does seem like the hallway is clear. So if you wanted to go and try to get closer to the whispering itself, you could do that real quick before those folks start making their way in.
Well, so the whispering does feel strange, like it's not something not natural.
Yeah, it feels familiar. It beckons you in the same way that the skull seemed to beckon you to the church during your dream.
Okay. So. Okay, I guess I'll have a look. A real quick look.
So you crack open the door, kind of double check again, and make your way over to the other door. As you begin getting closer and closer to this tower door that kind of leads out to the courtyard, it gets louder and louder and louder. And then you start to actually hear it. They are waiting for you. 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 Over and over and over again as you get closer to the door.
Okay, so out of character,
Mhm.
I know that it isn't the person that's calling her, but she would probably be suspicious.
It sounds just like the voice that spoke to you in your dream.
Okay, so I creak open the doors very slowly.
You open the door and you look, expecting for there to be someone there, and there's not. It's quiet. You can kind of see down the way, and you see two individuals in the process of unloading a couple, wood crates to begin to load them in. And you take a moment, trying to figure it out, and you look down, and resting on the doorstep is a small stone black skull. The same one that you had seen Lark holding in the church, both in your dream and only a little bit of a few days ago.
Okay. She's definitely intrigued, so she quickly snatches it up.
As you do, the voices stop.
Okay. She closes the door slowly.
Mm-hmm. As you close that door, you see light begin to shine as they begin to open the other door, and you see the back of someone beginning to make their way kind of afar. Again, it's a good probably 100 or 150 yards away, but you can see movement kind of down there, like someone's beginning to walk backwards with a crate inside the doorway.
So back the way I came.
Yeah, so we'll use our little map here. We'll say you came out of this door over here and kind of took a look at stuff, and they seem to be loading stuff over here, and your house is right in this area, so you're not too far away from it, but they're working to come in and then make their way somewhere in here.
Okay.
So it's a matter if you want the opportunity to be, creepy ghost girl, you might have a chance here, or you can just go hide in your room. It's up to you.
I mean, it's not exactly dusk yet, so the most logical thing she would do would be to go back to her room and wait it out a bit before going investigating better why Lark's skull is at her doorstep.
Okay, perfect. So as you go in, you close your door, and we come back in to see the Emperor. What are you up to now that you've had your visions? Actually, answer me this. For the messenger, we're sending Tor as a messenger, but you're also sending some guards with them. How many of your guard are you sending?
I'm gonna say like 3 people.
Okay.
Enough so that they can get some stuff done. Not like a major force, but enough so that like if something were to happen, they can probably handle themselves.
Okay. So, I do believe that you have a move for this.
Oh, that is actually very likely. Let me check my moves. Yes,
leadership. Indeed.
When you have to order your gang to advance, regroup, hold position, hold discipline, or put the damn backs into it, roll plus hard. On a hit, they do it. On 10 plus, they snap 2, take +1 forward. On a miss, they do it, but you'll hear about it later. Okay. So I might piss off my very savage gang.
Yeah.
It's a good thing hard is my best stat.
And basically, what you've ordered them to do is to take a message to Portum, to have them deliver their gang, clear the path along the way, and also haul up a big-ass vehicle back to the castle.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Gonna be putting all their backs into that.
Better put your backs into it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
My boys are loyal.
Very nice. All right.
They snap 2.
And are they taking any of your vehicles?
Um, I don't think they are, no.
Okay, so just heading out on foot.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
heading on foot. Um, they're taking shovels so they can clear the path. And
Mhm.
as for carrying the other vehicle or like pulling it, they also will have like that extra gang of people. So that does help a bit.
That's true. Well, hopefully, if the Sentinel agrees, but yeah, we don't they're levied, so of course they're gonna agree, right? You've been
Of
supplying them
course,
if
of
they
course
if they
they
want.
will.
All right. So let me just take some notes here. Shovels to
I
clear
just
a
realized I
path.
actually reached an session, so I might be able to take a new thing for my holding, which is ooh.
So how many days does it tend to take someone to travel when the path is clear to Portum?
When the path is clear, I'm gonna say downhill because at that point it makes a difference if you're going downhill or uphill.
Hmm.
Um, Downhill, I'm gonna say 2 days. Uphill, about 4.
And I imagine a lot of that's because they're mountain roads. They're not terribly
Mhm.
direct.
Yeah, and
And
plus, like you have to be very specific about where you're gonna be going to camp for those days.
mhm.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like you just can't camp in some spots.
And then a few. I'm actually gonna kind of ask a series of questions here. So yeah, Dusk. When was the last snow, like deep snowstorm?
Um, I'd say probably roughly a month ago.
Hmm.
Okay.
And Emperor, where do you put the excess snow? And what additional security and all that do you take during these incredible snowstorms?
Okay. So during the extra, let's see. Generally, what we actually do is we start packing that snow, and we build extra buildings out of that.
Like
Um,
igloos and all that?
we build igloos during those storms just so that, like, in case, because I assume there's some sort of homeless population.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad form for them to be dying on the streets because from hypothermia. They go in there to like hide it out, basically.
So it's almost a blessing for some of the more, stragglers of the settlement, the ones that don't have the barter to get into an actual house and don't have the abilities to necessarily work for it. So they kind of hope for deep snow. Um,
Sometimes, yeah. But things definitely do get colder. There's definitely a lot less trading going on during those storms. And most of the work actually gets done when those storms stop because then um, we make sure that like we need to re-clear out the paths
mhm.
because we're primarily a trading settlement. If trade stops, we die. Um, and that's like when we would start like setting out like the trading caravans more often, maybe some light patrolling, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also just getting like a lot of the excess snow, either A, storing it as drinkable water, or B, just throwing it out somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine there's plenty of areas where there's like a cliff without a path below it, which is the easiest thing. Just chuck it off the cliff and
Mhm.
forget about it.
Yeah, exactly. Little do we know, there's actually a settlement down there. And occasionally just
It's just one guy like keeps shoveling his driveway. All done. And all just come on.
Well, actually, that's an interesting question because I had one for Lark. What is heard before the white waves appear?
Oh.
What distinctive sound does everyone hear before the destructive white waves begin crashing
Destructive
down the
white
mountain?
waves. Avalanches. Oh boy. I thought you were just talking about like heavy
Oh
snowfall.
no, we're talking about
avalanche.
heavy snowfall in the mountains. We gotta have some avalanches, but we gotta make them
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Trying to think of something that would be like really foreboding. I imagine Lark just hears like like what sounds like this weird psychic equivalent of like a horn blaring in his ears. Whenever it's about to happen, everyone sees him like suddenly like get like really tense and start looking around like, oh crap. Like he doesn't even need to say anything. Everyone who can see him is instantly like, oh crap too.
It's his old blitz reflexes going on.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's this element that within the walls, right, it's kind of safe. You can keep the snow where you want the snow to go. You can keep the fire burning, but the moment you step outside, the dangers are real. The temperature drops, the snow becomes unpredictable, the white waves make their appearance, the beasts of the North Gate, whether they're there or not, are, one thing. The wolves of the south, the bloated camp, everything outside is bad. So stay inside where it's nice and safe. But you four that I'm sending down to Portum, luckily you just so happen to also have the two medics that have a bull and have a cart. So as you make your way back into the kind of around Emperor, you do see Tor, the three other guards, Osmi, or whatever what did I call him here?
Ace?
No.
The light guy?
Omi and Mimi. You
yes.
see them actually
The pill
load
people.
the guards on their cart that they had brought with their supplies, and they actually start to take that and make their way down the southern gate, down the path.
I just imagine he's got Mimi hooked up like a sled dog.
She's actually walking behind. You've seen that he's allowed the four guards to take the back, and she's following back behind.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think with that, as we kind of end on the scene where we just see a few different gatherers moving around, and we see them beginning to head out. Let's go ahead and put a pin in here. I think we're in a steady place that hopefully we can get Angus back. I don't want to keep going too far without him, because I think he has definitely a say, and hopefully some help.
yeah.
And he also has maybe something in his hand, so we might want to get that resolved at some point.
We have
Oh
some.
no, he's gonna want to go to the infirmary to get that checked out, and the medic will be like,
The medic is like, dude, yeah, there's nothing wrong.
I mean, he seems to be collecting whatever was in the meat, so
yeah.
who knows? Who knows at all? But yeah, let's go ahead and do the session end moves, and then we can talk a little bit. So choose a character who knows you better than they used to. If there's more than one, choose one at your whim. Tell that player to add +1 to their hex with you on the sheet. If that brings you to +4, then they would reset to 1 and mark experience. If no one knows you better, choose a character who doesn't know you as well as they thought, or choose any character at your whim. They take a -1 to their hex with you on their sheet. If this brings them to hex -3, they reset to 0 and also get XP. So, Emperor, who knows you better or not as much as they thought they did?
Who knows me better? I don't know if anybody here particularly knows me better, but I think I surprised Lark enough to make the argument that he doesn't know me as well as he thought he did.
With the declaration of war.
With that, with the fact that, like, hey, find this girl for me. With the also, you're on your own now, buddy. Like, all of those things in succession.
I think that does make sense, because this is Lark. Like, Lark knows the old Invictus before he was the Emperor.
Mark
And I
Bailey.
think, so I think he's like now like realizing like this man's a little bit different than I remember him. I probably don't know him quite as well as I thought I did.
And he hasn't even given you the spiel of why his name is Invictus.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say Lark does not know as much about me as he thought he did.
All right.
All right, so that does drop you down just by 1.
Yep. So I'm at
but
2.
it just means, again, it doesn't mean you're losing everything about him. It's just you've discovered a part that either you choose to learn more about him, like, okay, Like, this is a bit of a confusion. I can either use this as a stepping point to try to grow, or no, I am kind of confused. I'm going to take this as a chance to step further away and maybe distance myself. So that's kind of how Hex works. It doesn't mean, boom, automatically, oh, well, you're just, we're not as close. It's kind of more of a fictional thing of you're just having a moment of clarity, both good, clear, or more distant, unclear.
Yeah, I think it's definitely that Lark is realizing some stuff to relearn.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Dusk? Do you feel like either one of them know you better or worse?
I mean, Lark was the one that actually tried to find her by contacting the entity,
True.
but I'm not sure if what the entity revealed was enough for either.
Yeah, and in a way, I could see both of them losing kind of the identity of what you are, where the Emperor is going off of rumors and legends and not an actual determined, fact. And Lark is kind of, again, he's actually seen you. You know that you are physical, but he's not quite sure what that means. And his entity, the weird, has just said, you know what? She's kind of in control of that. She'll show up when she wants to. So yeah, you pick one. Pick either.
Yeah, I think I'll pick the latter.
Okay. So yeah, I think
Of Lark knowing you better.
or
Yeah,
less.
I suppose that's what I mean, what the entity said, because yeah, you've seen her, but she's still mysterious. So when the entity says she will appear when she wants, it's kind of still mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Because
so
even the entity, even the almighty entity, isn't like, oh yeah, sure, she's over there or over here. No,
it gives like a dating profile.
I think the fact that he left his personal symbol, the black skull, something that means so much to him, cements the fact that, okay, I am trusting that this is something. It's not a legend. It's not just a ghost. This is something I'll be able to interact with. So if anything on that level, getting a better idea. And then Lark, your thoughts?
Let's see, someone that knows me better. It's interesting because I interacted quite a bit with Invictus in this, but I'm not sure anything. It was more just me going along with him the entire time. It wasn't too much like actual, like, we didn't have any bonding moments or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I might be able to argue Dusk because he did leave that personal effect there.
Yeah, I was thinking that
I think that makes sense.
basically she now knows that you are aware of her.
Yeah, and I mean he like was in her dreams and everything too, so there's probably like a number of levels of like, yeah, Lark might not even know that they're bonding, but they're bonding in Dusk's weird supernatural way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, and it seems that the Emperor has the ability to take an improvement. Did anybody else get 5 experience total, rolling on highlighted stats? And if you need to go back and recount, you might want to do that. Take a look over your highlighted stats, and any time that you rolled on that stat, you should take XP for that.
I definitely get one for weird. I didn't have my stats highlighted when we started. I must have clicked them off at the beginning.
Let's
Do you remember what?
see.
I remember one was weird. I don't remember what the other one was.
Let me take a
It was like sharp or maybe hard. It might have been hard.
Let me take a look here.
Yeah, I think it was one or the other because I remember like originally we were hot, but then we discussed I would almost never
it was
roll
hard.
that. It was hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Hard makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm now taking a new gig. Ha ha ha.
Nice.
Perfect.
So yeah, and I was a little bit unclear. Do I take +1 or -1 with Dusk?
I'm so much.
Dusk, do you agree it's +1 just because he's trusting that you're a real person? That's why he's leaving you a thing instead of just a myth or a legend?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, so +1. All right, awesome. So while we wrap up everything here, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. So thank you anyone that might be
All right.
watching there on the YouTubes. If you ever have a wish to join a community of gamers, our Discord link is down in the stuff and things down below. But this has been the Frozen Heights. I am Mr. JP Stilts. I am joined by my awesome players. Yeah, if you guys have any specific shout outs you want to do for yourself, feel free. Awesome. Looks like we're all good. Thank you all for playing tonight. I hope you guys had some fun. I know I did. And for all you that are watching, we will see you next week.